This is Deacon DeForest Smith with the House of the Lost Sheep of Israel in the King James Bible University. And today's teaching is titled Separation and Discernment, Part 2. To separate unto Jehovah is to completely rely on his counsel, guidance, and understanding to lead us towards his purpose and not our own will. In that surrendering, we can receive the blessing, knowledge and wisdom given unto us, and then we can start walking and striving to be in the way of Jehovah and start to grow in works and the gifts of the separated spirit. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 4 through 7. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 4 through 7. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are differences of administrations, but the same Creator. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same God, guide, or word, or Spirit, which worketh all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. And that's those gifts. The manifestation, those works that was going to profit us to our soul and spirit, not of the flesh. Because the flesh profit us nothing. One second. It just popped up in my head. John 6 and 63. It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Verse 64, but they are some of you that believe not. So some of us ain't going to have that able to discern between the flesh and the spirit. They're going to put it all on that man, on that flesh, on that vessel, instead of hearing out what's coming out of that man. That spirit, that manifestation of the spirit is given to every man to profit with all. And we know Jesus was a man. So why would we say that he's God? Jesus had many diversities of operations through that spirit, but it is the same spirit, God, that word which worketh all in all. He was just a vessel. He was being used or possessed to fulfill the works of that manifestation of that spirit. And he was given an example so that we can profit with all out of the works of that spirit. So let's keep moving. Let's go back to John 1 and 1. And this is that work. In the beginning was the Word, Jehovah, and the Word was with God. Jehovah was with Yahweh, the Creator. And the Word, Jehovah, was God, or that light, or that enlightenment. Jehovah, the same was in the beginning with Yahweh. All things John 1 1 through 4. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. That good understanding, that wisdom. Verse 9 through 13. That was the true light, Jehovah, that word, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. The manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. 10. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. So will you be the ones that receive him not? He knew who would believe. He knows. Jehovah I'm speaking of. He knows your heart. Genesis 6:5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not, because of this wickedness of that heart, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. He came into his own, and his own received him not, because they leaned upon their own understanding. They didn't trust in that word that was coming out of that vessel. They wouldn't separate and have that discernment of spirit. Verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons, the servants of Jehovah, even to them that believe on his way. Going back to that belief, that faith, and then receiving the works. Received him, those works of that word, that light, that understanding, that wisdom, that manifestation, that profited. Verse 13, which were born. Let me go to born. Born, begotten. And it's on page 1488. Born, begotten, bearing, master of the north, brought forth. Which were brought forth. Let's go to begotten. Begotten is on page 1484. Begotten is one willing to be or to serve. Were or was willing to serve. Eternal generation, that regeneration. Those that renew their minds. They received him, that word of truth. To them gave he power to become the servants of God, even to them that believe on his way, which were begotten, willing to serve, not of blood, not of the lifestyle of the flesh, nor of the will of the flesh, our own desires, those vain imaginations of the heart, which is wicked continually in his presence, but renewed and rebuilt to receive that manifestation of that spirit of that Holy One, Jehovah, the Holy One of Israel, that believe on his way, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of that spirit, that word. We must find inspiration, comfort, and strength through the word of remembrance. The battle is before us, to endure through faith and guidance of the Almighty Word, which shall prevail and overcome all darkness of evil if we put our trust and our desires in Jehovah, our King and Savior. We can do nothing without the wisdom of Jehovah, and we will be destroyed and considered a foe if we reject or don't humble ourselves under the yoke of righteousness. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 through 10. 7 through 10 and 12 through 14. For God, for Jehovah have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love. We just read right here, John 1 and 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the servants of Jehovah. For God have not given us the spirit of fear, that desire of the flesh, to be fearful, to desire the things of this world, the lust of our eyes, our vain imaginations, but of power, his will, and of love, that promise that we made, that covenant, and of a sound mind, meditating on his word day and night, precept upon precept, so we can get that understanding and we can be in that same harmony as him. Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our Creator, nor of me his prisoner, but be thou partaker of the afflictions of the gospel, this message according to the power of Jehovah, who have saved us and called us with an holy, separated calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given us in Jehovah of salvation before the world began. That word of life, that word, John 1 and 1. That same was in the beginning with God. That word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. Verse 10. But is now made manifest by the appearing of our own Savior, salvation, the Anointed One, who have abolished death, that abolished separation, and have brought life and immortality to light through the message. So he came to turn you from your ways, because we was destroyed, being destroyed for that lack of knowledge. So he brung wisdom, word that word of life. And if we take heed, we can become servants and serve him eternally and become part of that light, bearing that light serving, being begotten, brought forth as a light. Verse 12 through 14. For the which cause I also suffer these things. Nevertheless, I am not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed, and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. Hold fast the form of sound words which thou hast heard of me, in faith and love, that promise which is in Jehovah of salvation, or Jehovah the way of salvation. That good thing, which was committed unto thee, that only good thing, that word of truth unto thee, keep by the Holy Ghost, the separated body which dwelleth in us. So we must worship him in spirit and in truth. Deuteronomy 21 and 1 through 4. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them. Have that discernment. Lean not to your own understanding, but trust in him that he will carry you. He will deliver you. He will prevail. Be not afraid of them, for the Spirit of God thy guide is with thee. He didn't give us that spirit of fear, that desire to go back into Egypt because we're afraid of dying. We're supposed to be already dead to this world, living in the Spirit. And we know that he protects his own. He protects his. He will not forsake us. He will not abandon us, but he will fight for us. The Spirit of God thy guide is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. We got to remember that. That's a fringe. He brought us out of that confusion, not by our own will, but his power, so that we can become servants, because we believed in that spirit. Verse 2 through 4. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Spirit of God your guide is he that goeth with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. For the which cause I also suffer these things, nevertheless I am not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed. Hear, O Israel, and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. What day? Ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Stick to that word. Fear not. Understand who you believe in, and do not tremble. Don't be shaken, tossed to and fro with that every wind of doctrine. Neither be ye terrified because of them, but hold fast that form of sound words which thou hast heard of me, in faith and love, which is in Jehovah, the way of salvation. Verse 4, For the Spirit of God your guide is he that goeth with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. Second Chronicles, what? Let's go to Proverbs 3:5-8. Trust in the Spirit of God with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. 3:1. My son, forget not my law, my commandments, but let thine heart keep my commandments. 2. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not and do not tremble. Trust in the Spirit of God with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. For the Spirit of God your God is he that goeth with you to direct your paths, to fight for you against your enemies all round about while we're in this wilderness, to save you. Verse 7. Be not wise in thine own eyes, understanding. Fear, desire the Spirit of God, and depart from evil. It shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. 1 Samuel 8, chapter 8, 4-7, 18-20, and 22. Because we always got to show the contrary. Those that don't trust in the Spirit of God. Because we all know it's a mixed multitude. So we must have that discernment to show the works. 1 Samuel 8, 4-7, 18-20, and 22. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, remember thou art old, thou perfection and beauty old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge, to teach us like all the nations. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him. Why are you acknowledging his sons that walk not in thy ways? We supposed to have one king. We supposed to be getting that counsel from that wise man. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel, that wise man, when they said, Give us a king to teach us. And Samuel prayed unto the Spirit of God, petitioned unto the Spirit of God, and the Spirit of God said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. 18-20. And ye shall cry out in that day, because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Spirit of God will not hear you in that day. I hope we're getting the understanding that we must rely on the Spirit of God and His gifts and His works and not our own. And you shall cry out in that day, because your king which ye shall have chosen you, and the Spirit of God will not hear you in that day. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. Now the bell just went off. 18 and 19. And it shall come to pass in that day, that whosoever will not hearken unto my words which he shall speak in my way, I will require it of him. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, because he didn't speak his own words. He spoke the words, being that prophet. 18 and 18, Deuteronomy. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee. I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our kings may judge, teach us, and go out before us and fight our battles. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of the Spirit of God. And the Spirit of God said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his city. So they chose flesh over the Spirit, showing that they had no discernment or separation. Let's go back. Let's go back to John 1 and John 1 and 11. So we can hit home on this one. John 1 and 11. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not, because they rather served men. They had no discernment. And let's go to 2 Timothy. I just want to show the understanding of how we arrived to where we're at now. Some refused and some kept striving for that spirit. Verse 12. 2 Timothy 1 and 12. For the which cause I also suffer these things. Nevertheless, I am not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed. They had no belief. They believed in a king that they wanted over them, which should teach them and go out to battle for them. But our 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 king is not flesh, it's spirit. Nevertheless, I am not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed, and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. And then let's go, who will fight for us in Deuteronomy 20. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and people more than thou, be not afraid of them. For the Spirit of God, thy guide, is with thee. They had no faith in that. They was destroyed for this lack, this knowledge, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be when you are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. They have faint hearts. Fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Spirit of God your God is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. 1 Samuel 8 and 19. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, teach us, and go out before us and fight our battles. And 22. And the Spirit of God said to Samuel, Hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. And Samuel said unto the men of Israel, Go ye every man unto his city. Let's see some history. 2 Chronicles 12, 1 through 8. And it came to pass when Rehoboam had established the kingdom, and had strengthened himself, he forsook the law of the Spirit of God, and all Israel with him. And it came to pass that in the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak king of Egypt came up against Jerusalem, because they had transgressed against the Spirit of God, with 1,200 chariots, 360,000 horsemen. And the people were without number that came with him out of Egypt, the Lubims, the Sukkums, and the Ethiopians. But we wouldn't have no problems if we was sticking to the script. But we changed up on the Spirit of God, our Savior, our hope, our rock in defense, our fortress, our sanctuary. So we was out there naked. So here come the enemy. And he took the fenced cities which pertained to Judah, and came to Jerusalem. Then came Shemaiah the prophet to Rehoboam and to the princes of Judah that were gathered together to Jerusalem because of Shishak, and said unto them, Thus says the Spirit of God, Ye have forsaken me, and therefore have I also left you in the hand of Shishak. Whereupon the princes of Israel and the king humbled themselves, and they said, The Spirit of God is righteous. And when the Spirit of God saw that they humbled themselves, the word of the Spirit of God came to Shemaiah, saying, They have humbled themselves. Therefore I will not destroy them, but I will grant them some deliverance in my wrath, shall not be poured out upon Jerusalem by the hand of Shishak. Nevertheless, they shall be his servants, that they may know my service. That's a cold one right there. So he gonna still put you into that bondage, cause you forsook him at first. So he gotta chastise you and see what you really made about. See if you just bluffing or what. If you all cap or if you bunk or what. Or if your heart is really desiring his will to the saving of that soul, that they may know my service. Is you gonna serve him or you gonna serve flesh? You can't serve Jehovah and serve Mammon. You can't serve two masters. That they may know my service and the service of the kingdoms of the countries, because you want to be like them round about. Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel. And they said, Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles. Our God is a jealous God. This we forsook him, so he forsook us. And let's see, nevertheless shall be his servants, that they may know my service and the service of the kingdoms of the countries. Let's see the service of them, that flesh. And Samuel told all the words of the Spirit of God unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself. 1 Samuel chapter 8, 10 down to 18. And Samuel told all the words of the Spirit of God unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots, and he will appoint him captains over thousands, and captains over fifties, and will set them to hear his ground, and to reap his harvest. This is the motto of camps, these fake bunk Hebrew camps that's out here that appoint captains and sergeants, and they believe in chariots and fleshly will. They have set kings over themselves instead of submitting and surrendering to the Spirit of God. But let's keep going. And captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of chariots. And he will take your daughters, and he will take your daughters to be to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your manservants and your maidservants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Spirit of God will not hear you in that day, because you forsook him. Nevertheless, they shall be his servants, that they may know my service, and the service of the kingdoms of the countries. And let's hit one more, and I'm going to come back with part 3. Deuteronomy 4:27 through 37, 39 through 40. Since we forsook him, and the Spirit of God shall scatter you among the nations. You want to have them kings, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen. Nevertheless, they shall be his servants, that they may know my service and service of the kingdoms of the countries. And the Spirit of God shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Spirit of God shall lead you. And there ye shall serve gods, idols, the works of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. But if from thence thou shalt seek the Spirit of God thy God, thou shalt find him. If thou shalt seek him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. When thou art in tribulation, thou perfection and beauty in tribulation, and all these things come upon thee, even in the latter days. If thou turn to the Spirit of God thy guide, and shalt be obedient unto his voice, for the Spirit of God thy guide is a merciful guide. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers which he sware unto them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day that Jehovah created man upon the earth, and asked from the one side of heaven unto the other, whether there have been any such thing as this great thing is, or have been heard like it. Did ever people hear the voice of Jehovah speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and lived? That manifestation. Or have Jehovah say to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation, by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by a great terrors, according to all that the Spirit of God your God did for you in Egypt, before your eyes, before your understanding? But no, we forgot about all this. Our eyes have been darkened to this world of vain imaginations and blasphemous hearts. Unto thee it was showed. So will you turn from out of that darkness unto that marvelous light, so that you can remember that it was showed unto thee, that thou mightest know that the Spirit of God, he is salvation of Israel? There is none else beside him. Out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee, and upon earth he showed thee his great fire, desire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the desire. And because he loved, promised thy fathers, therefore, for that reason he chose their seed after them, and brought thee out in his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt. 39 to 40. Know therefore this day, and consider it in thine heart, that the Spirit of God, he is thy guide. He is thy salvation. He is thy word of truth, in heaven above and upon the earth beneath. And there is none else. Thou shalt keep therefore his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee, because we're going to be fighting. We're going to be in this war, this spiritual battle. So we got to keep these commandments so he can fight for us in these days. these latter days, and with thy children after thee. So we must bring them up, train a child in the way they should be going, in the way of Jehovah, that spiritual way, and that thou mayest prolong thy days upon the earth, which the Spirit of God thy guide giveth thee forever. And this is Deacon DeForest Smith, and I got a public service announcement that King James Bible University and the House of the Lost Sheep of Israel is not affiliated with any street punks camps, any theological seminary schools, any FBA, black awareness groups, any um, people that worship the ancestors, Pan-Africanism, Egyptology. We do not um, use any concordances or reference books, but we just use the 1611 King James Version with the Apocrypha, and everything else is trash and boo-boo. And we use precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, to get our understanding so that we can hate every false way, and we can stay in that one book that was gathered by His Spirit to guide us unto truth and deliverance from this dark world of darkness. Shalom.